I want to ask you on that, thinking about what the Federal Reserve is doing, you think, and I don't want to take your steam, it's almost like the Federal Reserve has been as aggressive as it has in order to deflate a bubble that they saw in corporate borrowing and even in technology stocks. In a way, Jay Powell is doing something that previous, even Greenspan and Bernanke didn't do soon enough. And I wonder if that's what's at play here. And you think in the new year that the real story could be not just that the reduction in the balance sheet could stop.
Could stop, yeah. Well, I guess on my immediate reaction to your point is
bubble question.
I'm not sure I'd give Powell that much credit for trying to deflate a bubble. I sort of subscribe to the belief that the Fed has once again made a mistake like they have every single time in the past. I mean, the rate hike started back in 2015. It's the quantitative tightening, and actually Yellen has implemented that quantitative tightening on autopilot situation. So I think they've been sort of oblivious to just how bubblicious, let's say, the corporate bond market was. But yes, I think that the Fed will pause rate hikes and QT because, you know, if you look at historically, the last Fed rate hike comes 6 months before the first cut. That's the time frame. They go, if December was their last hike, they could be easing by the summer.
They
could be, but the one thing that they're not going to do is ease while contracting the balance sheet. So the first thing they need to do is lay out the groundwork for pausing QT.
Can they ease if the president keeps tweeting at them to ease, or can they not actually look like they're responding to that pressure?
Well, I think it depends on what the markets do. If the markets nosedive, then maybe they can get away with not appearing to be puppets of the administration. But it's a fine line.
And Cheryl, to bring you in here, jobs reports out Friday, 3.7% unemployment rate, and that factors into whatever the Federal Reserve does.
Well, I mean, you made the point earlier that can be whatever happens with the job report. It still could be, you know, a bad thing for the market. I mean, it's, you know, and that's the thing about the economy in 2019. I mean, there's going to be wage pressure on American corporations. You were talking about corporate debt earlier. You're talking about profit forecasts going down in the corporate sector in 2019. And if that wage pressure is still there and they're still looking for top talent, that's a problem for these large-scale companies.
Yeah, I don't think that problem is going away, except that growth will be decelerating, so maybe that will alleviate some of it. And you are seeing some of like these regional Fed surveys. The employment components are starting to ease off. So, you know, I'm less concerned about the wage pressure, but I would say on the employment front, the number one input into hiring is profits. So and it's not profit level, you know, it's profit growth. So the fact that we're going to go from 22% to maybe 8 or 5 or 2 or whatever the number is.
For earnings?
I think we go negative for earnings, but I'm, you know, a drama queen, so I
But you have an earnings recession, 2 quarters of negative earnings growth without having an economic recession. So what people are talking about recession frequently.
Right.
Which recession do they mean?
Well, I think we can see a profit recession without an economic recession, but I think that the profit recession is going to precipitate or coincide with a massive decline in the stock market, which will cause the economic recession.
Right. In a economic recession, you're looking at maybe preceding it or during it a 30 to 50% decline in stocks.
Right.
Do you see that?
I do. I mean, I wish I could come up with
an election.
When?
An election, which, by the way...
I know, this is why the midterms were so upsetting, because there's so much at stake now.
And I'll point out that George H.W. Bush lost in 1992, and the recession that hurt him ended in March of 91. Am I right on that? It was March of 91 that the recession ended.
That's correct.
Because I am a nerd, and I remember that.
Don't brag, Dagan.
That's why I love having you on. Stephanie Pomboy.
Thanks for having me.
So good to see you come back often.
Happy New Year.